Change doesn't call for constantly new ideas. Ideas sometimes need only minor change. The 911.
All right, guys, how's it going? So, out in the shop working today, doing a little cleanup. Got to build a little more workbench. Got to do this, a little bit of that. It's raining in Missouri here today. So I thought, well, let's put a video out. We're on a good track record on this channel as far as getting videos out every day. We're going to talk about 996 911s today. All right, I can put the camera on a tripod because otherwise I'm moving around. 996. So 1997 to 2005 and 2004, I'm sorry, 2005 and 2006, if it's GT2 or GT3. We'll talk about that here in a second. Also, is the 996 a good deal? Now, you see prices right now for a rough one as low as 6-7 grand, all the way up to 30 grand for a non-turbo. The guys at 25 and 30 are maybe a little wishful thinking, or they have no miles on them. These cars are known for the IMS bearing problem. Here's the thing about that. That's not really that big of a deal on these cars. You buy a sports car from the late 90s, early 2000s, chances are you're going to have to go engine out, do all the coolant lines, do all the gaskets, do everything. We do this on BMWs too. Engine out, do everything all in one run, put it back in, then the car is actually reliable. Doesn't have any problems, right? You get something old, you're not only dealing with the problem of the car and mileage-wise, needing stuff, you're also dealing with age. Age is just as big of a killer as mileage, especially if the car has low mileage and it's been sitting for a long time. That's kind of worst case scenario. Some of the worst cars I've ever owned are very low mileage. Just the way it is, right? This video spawns from looking at these cars. I've been looking, not real heavy, just kind of throwing an eye out there thinking, if one of these pops up, I'm okay fixing what's wrong with it, we'll go ahead and snag it, right? We're pretty much done with the Cayman. The Cayman, we got to do the brakes, the tie rods, all the stuff's on its way here. Should be here anytime. A little more maintenance stuff. I want to check all the pulleys, the belt, get my hands on everything in the car that might be a problem. The Cayman's pretty much done, right? So, am I going to sell the Cayman to buy a 911? No, I'm not. I'll definitely keep both if I decide to do that. Okay. As I was sitting there, well, let me finish with the 911 first, then we'll go to the little story here. These cars are not that expensive to fix. The IMS bearing, if you buy the whole entire kit, it's what, $1,200-$1,300. Not saying you need the whole kit. That changes the bearing to a bushing. That fixes the problem forever. Okay? If you don't want to mess with piecing together a puller and this and that, you just go buy it. You take the transmission out. If it's a manual car, you can do the clutch at that point in time. You can do rear main seal. You can do anything at all that you need to do while you're there. And it's essentially right there. It's not inside the engine or anything. You don't take the engine out and take it apart in a million pieces. It's not that way at all. As most mechanics would say, that's not really that big of a deal, right? So let's say you bought one for 7 grand. I see a bunch of them here for 7 grand. Let's say you get one without tan interior. Let's say you find one with black interior. It doesn't really matter in today's market if it's Tiptronic or if it's manual, right? It just doesn't. It used to matter. It doesn't matter that much anymore. As more and more people can't drive a manual, in my theory and what I see on prices, it doesn't matter as much. The Tiptronics those years are pretty good. They're not bad. They're not that expensive if you got to buy another one if you break yours. They're not that hard to fix. If you break it, you can take it apart and fix it. Once you change the fluid to the correct fluid and everything's correct, they rarely ever have a problem. Okay? Interior wise, interior stuff isn't too expensive, and some of that's because the interiors on those are pretty stable, right? Stuff doesn't fall off all the time. There's not a lot there, for one thing. So you don't have any crazy electronics. That actually holds the car's value up. What brings 996s down is the value, okay? the brakes, all the spindables, the struts, none of that stuff is that much. It depends on what you want. If you're going full out race, which I don't know why you would, this be stupid. A good quality name brand part isn't really any different than any of the BMWs have here, than anything else we ever worked on. Audi and all that kind of stuff, right? Let me get to the moral of the story here. 2 days ago, I was on Facebook Marketplace. There was a 2005 GT3. It was $36,000, right? And got 80,000 miles on it. 414 horsepower, I believe is what those are rated. All right, 380 on that one, 414 on the GT2. So as I'm looking at this car, overall pretty good. $36,000 or best offer, right? A lot of Alcantara in that car. A lot of cool stuff. Not really a daily driver, but I don't really care about that at this point. I'm thinking, here's the thing. If I went and bought that for this channel has just started out as a Porsche channel. We only have, what, 8 or 9 videos on it. I think it's be 9 or 10 after I post this video. Nobody has that car, right? Very few people have that car. Who is actually going to watch those videos? And we kind of run into that with the Cayman a little bit. Not many people have Caymans. Cayman is not a very common car. When's the last time you were driving on the road and passed a Cayman? When's the last time I was on the road and passed a Cayman? Years and years since I've seen an actual Cayman on the road. And so you gotta look at that. We're doing a lot more rare cars on this. I want to walk around a little bit because I don't want it to get boring, right? And a lot of guys are just curious. A lot of the BMW guys come over from the BMW channel. I greatly appreciate that. Some of the guys are actually converting and going out and buying Boxers and Caymans. I'm very happy about that. I won't let you guys down on that. As my memory is being refreshed from owning a black Cayman before, I remember more and more as time goes on, as we're getting deeper and deeper into this car. And I could definitely help you guys out. Stuff you need to be helped out, right? But if you go buy a rare car like that, your viewership goes down, right? Here's the problem. I don't want to go buy something very, very, very common because I don't physically want that, right? And if I don't want it, I'll end up with a car here with way more money in it than I should have in it. And then you got to try to sell it one day. And I'm at that point with the E90. I drive the E90 sometimes. We need to do engine swap on it. I don't care. I'm getting sick of it. I don't really care to do it. It's going to have to be done, right? And that's why I don't want to get back into is working on stuff I don't want to work on anymore. Unfortunately, I have a weird taste for rare stuff, right? And the moral of the story is, should you go buy a 996 that's broken, that needs IMS bearing, that needs this, needs that? My opinion is, if you buy it for 7 or 10 grand, I don't see how you can really get hurt on it. I really don't. As long as it doesn't have 200,000 miles and some ratted up tan interior, I think it's a pretty safe investment. There's a lot of money to be made on one of those cars, right? Super simple car to work on. There's not a bunch of crazy stuff that'll make it impossible to fix. These cars just aren't that way. And that's what keeps the price of a lot of them up. You know, this car here, there's a lot of crazy stuff on that car. It's impossible for most people to fix. That drives the price down. Even though now that the price has gone back up on those cars, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, depending on how many's on the market at the minute. That's what we call unstable, right? So it is what it is. I truly do think the 996, did I say 997 a while ago, 996. I don't know if I did or not. Covering all the bases. It's definitely a good investment. And 997 is also not a bad investment. 2004 and up. But they're a lot more money, right? Depends on what you want. And most people buy a car, they buy it judging with the horsepower, and the other thing is judging the interior. A lot of people want the newest car they could possibly get for the least amount of money. And that's how you get stuff that is a nightmare. That is the recipe, that is the math, how you buy a car that's a nightmare, right? If you're gonna buy one generation older, that's a lot more stable of a car, and it's the same price as a base model, stripped down version of the newer chassis. My opinion is always buy the older one, right? But depending on what it is, there you guys go. Should you buy a 996? I really do think you should. It's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching. Come back very soon with another video. See you later.